Hey guys, I'm your props, and today I'm making a Pip-Boy 2500 or 2500. I don't know how you say it. Anyways, from Fallout, well, New Vegas 4. I think it's in 2. It's probably shown up in most of the Fallout games, I believe. Anyways, I'm gonna be making that out of mainly cardboard. So the first thing I did was went through and cut out a basic shape of what the Pip-Boy 2500 looks like, and then I cut a spot for my phone to fit in, and I cut a few panels of that out and then glued them all together, and then cut out a piece that had the basic shape of the actual screen, which was a little bit smaller than where my phone screen sat, and then I glued that on. I then went through and made a hinge so that the front flap could open and close so I could fit my phone in, and I just made that out of some scrap metal and then some nails which I cut down, and I just super glued that in place and then put some magnets on the end of that way it held itself shut. And then I covered the whole thing in some thin cardboard just to get rid of the corrugation lines that normal cardboard has, and then to fill in some of the seams as well. Alternatively, you could just go through and plaster this whole thing, and that would actually probably give you a better texture than what this does in terms of just the texture that the Pip-Boy has in the game. But I went this route just because it's a lot easier than the dry time that plaster has, and it just gives me some more freedom as opposed to plaster, because plaster is pretty unforgiving if you layer it on too thin in places and you have to go back and fix that. But with this, I can just glue it on. Anyways, I made some of the button details and some of the wire parts just using some of that thin cardboard, and then some copper wire which I glued into place, and then I used some brads to make the buttons and lights that go on the front panel, and then I mixed up some plaster just to fill in any of the seams that I missed. You could use Bondo or some green putty or something, but I just had this on hand, so that's what I used. And then I went through and painted the whole thing a matte black color just to get into all the crevices that I'm not going to be able to paint once I go through and paint it a lighter shade of green. I painted it a dark shade of green first, and then went through and dry brushed it a little bit with some lighter green just to give it a more worn look. I also mixed up some silver paint and did some dry brushing, and then did a brown wash with some red and a reddish brown paint, as well as doing some detailing for the buttons and the lights. Well, I didn't hook up any lights, but I just painted the lights yellow. I also glued on the mesh part, and yeah, this turned out pretty good. I was able to fit my phone in it pretty well, and I just took a video of the Fallout startup screen from Fallout 4, and it turned out pretty good. If you guys don't mind checking out my Etsy shop, I have a lot of my props on there for sale, as well as a lot of things that I've designed and 3D printed. Thanks for watching. If you guys don't mind liking and subscribing, please do. See you next vid.